Once the homes of kings, popes, and emperors, palaces and castles represent an important part of the cultural heritage of European history. Not only the architecture itself, but also the technology used in constructing these amazing buildings reflect the remarkable progress of Western civilization. Today, these castles attract millions of tourists every year who want to take a peek into the lives of royals of a bygone era. Here's my selection of the 12 most beautiful castles in Europe. The ones that you need to put on your bucket list. So let's explore these beautiful castles in Europe. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay tuned. Number 1. Sanssouci, Potsdam, Germany. No other palace is so connected with the personality of Frederick the Great, King of Prussia, as Sanssouci Palace in Potsdam near Berlin. The name Sanssouci, a French phrase which translates as "without concerns," is to be understood as a wish of the king, because this summer residence was his refuge in difficult times. Sanssouci is often considered to be the German equivalent of Versailles, although it features a more intimate Rococo style and is far smaller than its French Baroque counterpart. The location of the castle, its famous terraced gardens, and the stylish splendor of its interiors make King Frederick's love for the beautiful surroundings, the Prussian Arcadia, palpable for the 21st century tourists. Number 2. The Alcazar Castle, France. One-time fortress and palace, the papal residence was the seat of Western Christianity during the 14th century. Construction was started in 1335 and completed in less than 20 years under the leadership of two builder popes, Benedict XII and his successor Clement VI. The Pope's Palace is the biggest Gothic palace in all of Europe. 6 papal conclaves were held in the Palais before the popes returned to Rome in 1377. In the following centuries, the palace functioned as the residence of antipapal forces, military barracks, and a prison. Nowadays, more than 600,000 visitors per year admire the Pope's private chambers and the frescoes painted by the Italian artist Matteo Giovannetti. Number 3. The Castle in Love with the Wind, Ravadanovo, Bulgaria. In love with the wind, the castle with the magnificent structures made of marble and metamorphosed limestone from the fairy tales of a talented architect and dreamer, Georgy Tumpelov. The only newly built castle in Europe. The Castle in Love with the Wind, a fairy tale near the sea. The place where the castle is built is a unique natural phenomenon. Here, the wind loves the sun, and always when the sun shines, there is a wind. On this bare field near the village, Georgy Tumpelov, an architect and developer, decided to make it child's dream come true, to build a castle that exists only in fairy tales. But a dream never comes alone. Tumpelov attracted to the modest village of Ravadanovo, standing 6 kilometers from Sozopol, enormous crowds of visitors from all over the world. The castle was awarded the prize for the most attractive tourist site of the year by the Bulgarian Hotel and Restaurant Association. In 2013, Walt Disney used its natural decor to make its movie The Sleeping Beauty. In 2016, the castle won the first prize of the international competition, A Design Awards 2016, in the category A Hospitality, Recreation, Travel and Tourism Design. Number 4. The Neuschwanstein Castle, Bavaria, Germany. 7 weeks after the death of King Ludwig II in 1886, Neuschwanstein was open to the public. The shy king had built the castle in order to withdraw from public life. Now vast numbers of people came to view his private refuge. Today, Neuschwanstein is one of the most popular of all the palaces and castles in Europe. Every year, 1.4 million people visit the castle of the fairy tale king. In the summer, around 6,000 visitors a day stream through rooms that were intended for a single inhabitant. Number 5. The Hohenzollern Castle, Baden-Württemberg, Germany. The first personal related reference of the Hohenzollern house dates back to 1061. First direct mention of the castle complex was in 1267. Appearance, size, and furnishing of the original castle are unknown, but presumably it was in the first decade of the 11th century. At that time, it must have been a vast and artistically valuable furnished complex. Contemporary sources praised it as crown of all castles in Swabia and as the most fortified house in Germany. However, in 1423, the castle was completely destroyed. Number 6. Winter Palace, St. Petersburg, Russia. The Winter Palace in St. Petersburg was the official residence of the Russian imperial family until the Russian Revolution in 1917. The green and white palace was built in 1732, and continual improvements and revisions were made during the 18th and 19th century. In 1837, fire broke out, destroying nearly all the palace interiors, but the reconstruction was completed within 1 year. The palace was constructed on a monumental scale that was intended to reflect the might and power of Imperial Russia. From the palace, the Tsar ruled over 22,400,000 Kim and over 125 million subjects by the end of the 19th century. Today, the Winter Palace houses the world-famous Hermitage Museum. Number 7. The Eltz Castle, Wiersham, Germany. You are cordially invited to Eltz Castle and Eltz Forest. Welcome! We have been here for more than 850 years and are doing everything within our means to preserve our ancestral home. Experience the Middle Ages and nature in its purest form. Take a day trip to Eltz Castle on the Moselle from Frankfurt to discover this fantastic castle. Number 8. The Chateau Chambord, Chambord, France. A palace rises up out of the swampy lowlands of the Salon region, on the edge of a forest filled with wild boar. The young king who had garnered glory in the Battle of Marignan ordered its construction. The Chateau Chambord was not intended to be a permanent residence. Francois I would in fact spend only a few weeks here, leaving it empty of furniture and people after his visits. It was an architectural jewel that the king liked to show to visiting crowned heads and ambassadors as a symbol of his power. Although the chateau was not completed under Francois I, it is one of the few buildings of that age that has survived without major modifications to its original design. From Paris, embark on a beautiful tour of Chambord and Chenonceau castles with wine tasting. Number 9. Windsor Castle, Windsor, England. Windsor Castle is the oldest and largest inhabited castle in the world. It has been the family home of British kings and queens for almost 1,000 years. Windsor is still very much a working royal palace. The castle is used regularly for ceremonial and state occasions. George's Hall makes a spectacular setting for a state banquet when a single table, stretching the length of the hall and seating 160 people, is decorated with porcelain and silver gilt from the royal collection. Windsor Castle is the oldest and largest occupied castle in the world, having been built in the 11th century by William the Conqueror. Number 10. Chenonceau, Loire Valley, France. Chenonceau Castle, a former royal residence, is an exceptional site not only because of its stunning design, spanning the river Cher, and the richness of its decorations, but also because of its destiny, since it was loved, administrated, and protected by women who were all extraordinary and who, for the most part, have marked history. The Château des Dames was built in 1513 by Catherine Braconnet, successively embellished by Diane de Poitiers, then Catherine de Medici, and protected from the hardship of the French Revolution by Madame Dupin. The iron, but very feminine, fist in the velvet glove has always preserved Chenonceau during times of conflict and war in order to make it forever a place of peace and inspiration. Number 11. Schloss Schobrunn, Vienna, Austria. Schobrunn Palace is a World Cultural Heritage Site and Austria's most visited site. At the end of the 17th century, Emperor Leopold I commissioned the gifted architect Bernhard Fischer von Erlach to build a palatial hunting lodge for the heir to the throne. Half a century later, under Maria Theresa's reign, Schobrunn Palace was to become the magnificent focus of court life. From that time onwards, it played host to the leading statesmen of Europe. Although Austria is now a republic, Schobrunn has remained a place of political encounter at the highest level, as the magnificent architecture of the Baroque palace and the exquisite decor of its staterooms has largely been preserved in its original condition. Number 12. Versailles, France. Versailles, which has been on UNESCO's World Heritage List for 30 years, is one of the most beautiful achievements of 18th century French art. The site, located some 20 kilometers, 12 miles, southwest of Paris, began as Louis XIV's hunting lodge before his son Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, transformed and expanded it, moving the court and government of France to Versailles in 1682. Each of the 3 French kings who lived there added improvements to make it more beautiful. The chateau lost its standing as the official seat of power during the French Revolution in 1789. However, it still serves political functions today as heads of state are regaled in the Hall of Mirrors. Add French politicians meet in Congress here to revise or otherwise amend the French Constitution. Add these beautiful castles in your to-do list and make sure to visit these castles this summer. If you have already visited any of these castles, share your experience in comments below. And make sure to like this video and share it with your friends and family. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay tuned.